Hello, my name is Sulada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm here with the beautiful Angelic. Hi, Angelic.
Hi, Lana. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you for joining and for discussing and giving us information on such an important topic: healing from heartbreak, the karmic reasons for break, for difficult relationships, and of course renewal. How to come out of such heartbreaking experiences and welcome new love again, so it doesn't kind of break us down. But before we start on that, I just want to introduce Angelique. And this topic is so amazing. We're coming up to the 14th of February now, St. Valentine's Day. Everyone is thinking about relationships, revising their love life, or lack of. And today, Venus becomes visible. And Venus was invisible for 2 months. Venus is the planet of love, of relationships. And now it's going to illuminate with its knowledge, because it's becoming visible around the world today, on topics like that. So I guess Venus is protecting us, and you look like
Aphrodite. All you can get. Oh, thanks.
But I want to introduce Angelic. Angelic is a Reiki master and healer. She's also a life coach, and she also specializes in soul readings. Basically, this is an overview of one's soul purpose, past lives, karmic lessons, why you're incarnated in this lifetime, what is the biggest lesson to learn here, the meaning behind your incarnation in this lifetime. She works with Astrolada.com. You can check out her services. They're very affordable. And also, this will help you. She helps and assists people, that's her specialty, who are going through difficult relationship and want to understand what the purpose of that relationship is, what the goal together is, and also of illness, people going through difficult situations. Again, this is karma, and how to heal and succeed through that. And also she uses tarot to give a bigger picture, but she also is a life coach, which is working with sex trafficking survivors, and how to reintegrate them back into society. So you're jack of all trades. No,
like a Swiss Army knife.
Now it's called Renaissance Woman.
I love that way better. I love that way better. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, I do all of that. What I specialize in is soul readings. I do tarot, obviously do Astrolada, but soul readings are a little bit different, and they're especially important in regards to relationships and illnesses. Soul readings a lot have to do with past lives, the reason you chose to incarnate, why you incarnated with that family. We all have soul contracts with people, things, as you know, a lot of that are fated to help pivot us along our path, and why we're experiencing those at that time. You know, I feel a lot of times doing all the readings that I do, a lot of people are looking at things from a micro perspective, which I understand. You know, like, how can I heal this? How can I fix this? How can I make this better? Not realizing that trying to fix something so small, you have repetitive patterns, experiences, instead of looking at it from a bigger perspective. What's trying to unfold in this relationship? Is it so I can finally address my self-worth issues, my codependency issues? Have I been dealing with this in multiple lifetimes? And I think I love how you wanted to pinpoint painful relationships in particular. I mean, we all have pain in our relationships. It's a cycle, you know, but some of the more painful relationships, abusive relationships that we have usually are for a couple different reasons. One of them is you're a high vibrating soul, so you actually elect to have those experiences so that you can learn faster. It's kind of like an accelerated learning. It's not that you're trying to be abused in any way, or have...
You've hurt someone in a past lifetime, so now they're hurting you back to karma to bite you back.
Karmic.
Wow. Evolved souls, you say, choose more difficult, challenging relationships. So because you know that when you're in university, you have more difficult exams than when you're in first grade. Yeah,
exactly. You know, and there are karmic, and I would like to mention to everybody, because some people have this idea of twin flames and soulmates, which are beautiful ideas. In terms of soul contracts, if there is ever any form of physical abuse, any form of extenuating abuse, soul contracts are null and void. And I've had a lot of clients say, well, yeah, null and void. You would not ever, there's only certain circumstances, and it's usually in childhood, that you elect to have some of these experiences so that you have the wisdom and experience to help others later in life. But usually, in my experience, no, it's a choice at that point. You were not ever going to elect to be, murdered, physically abused. You might get to that point because you're not letting go and you're not learning. Relationships will progressively get worse if we are not learning our lesson. Like in any life situation, you might be at a job that you hate, but you're afraid to quit because of security fears, and things will just keep getting worse and worse, and the universe is going to push you out until you have to get out. So there's multiple circumstances depending on the person and the reasons why they've kind of created that in their life. But yeah, no, my experience, as soon as it gets abusive, soul contracts are null and void.
Is abusive just physical, or does it get like words? Like when
yeah, that's a very good question, because some people say like, my boyfriend yelled at me. I think we all get frustrated. I'm talking about, physical abuse, mentally manipulative abuse, the kind that causes you to have depression and mentally break down, isolate the self.
Yes, like you can't see your friends.
Yes, exactly. And emotional abuse. There's also emotional abuse. People think abuse is just physical, and it's not. It's not. And emotional abuse causes a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts. That's the kind of abuse I'm talking about.
But a lot of clients also come to me and they say, yes, she or he is abusive, but I know it's karmic, so I have to carry that burden in this lifetime. But you said it gets annulled.
Yes, null and void. I know, and that's a very good question too.
You're not bound to stay. You should not.
No, you're not. And so people say, well, I hurt them in a past life. That's understandable, but there's different levels of things you have to do. There's one of self-forgiveness and asking for forgiveness in return. You don't ever have to balance it out in the same way. Everything is energy. It doesn't have to come out in a physically abusive way to balance things out, to heal things, to kind of, wash your hands of that relationship. And that's, you attract the same energy that you vibrate at, so I tell a lot of people, if you want to elevate that relationship, if you kind of want to heal that karmic, the whole purpose is for both of you to grow, to learn, to ascend, to get past that unhealthy egoistic behavior so that you guys can serve each other in a higher way. It's not to consistently stay in this low vibrating cycle. That doesn't serve either one of you. So no, it isn't. It isn't. A lot of people want to say that, and that's their path, and they can do that if they wish, but no, null and void.
Have you seen such a relationship that is quite abusive physically or emotionally? Just
yes,
improve, and all of a sudden becomes loving, or this is super rare?
You know what? I think it's rare. I've only seen like 2 or 3. It was never extensively abusive. They were both, and I'm not going to divulge who they were or anything like that, but they were both abusive, both physically abusive. And there has been times where I believe when that happens, you need the space. You guys both, it's almost like it's feeding into an unhealthy cycle. They did take that space. They went to their own counselor, separate counselors. They did their own self-healing. And it was about several years later that they came back in a healthier way. But it was definitely
like a different level of consciousness.
A different level.
While you're together, you're going to feed on each other. You're going to feed the same patterns. It's not going to, staying together is not going to make it.
Exactly. No. You're not. Some people want to, when it's broke like that, you can't make it work at that same level. You have to come back. And a lot of people, and I'm so happy we're having this webinar, because I know I myself have gone through, I think you experience what you're supposed to teach. And I went through lots of different relationships and breakups and heartbreak. And I think also being a psychic and an empath, I was lucky enough, to kind of understand the higher perspective, remember this karmic lessons and everything like that. So I'm glad I'm a source here to help for people and to be that light, because during Valentine's Day, especially people that are single and some people who are in relationships, I think they have this idea that everyone's rosy and happy and everything's perfect, but in reality, all relationships take work. And for those that are going through heartbreak right now, I know it's especially difficult. And I try to specialize in helping people go through that healing path. And I know most of my specialty is in women, but I don't want any men to feel that that's not for them, because I work with men too, mostly women going through trauma, or just trying to get through the patterns that they've kind of created in their life. And I'm sorry that there's a cat that just jumped behind us.
It's a beautiful creature.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful creature, by the way.
But yeah, there's a lot of purposes and reasons behind unhealthy relationships. But what I like to focus on primarily is how to heal, how to work through, and some of the tools. And I don't know if any of my clients are watching this, but the way I do readings is a little different. So I will do the soul readings, the bigger picture, the steps you can take, but I also like to give tools as a healer, tools, exercises, things to help change up your vibration and patterns so that you can create that life that you're experiencing. I want to give them something to do. I think a great healer is somebody who teaches others to heal themselves.
Yeah, rather than just, and we in psychology nowadays, or for the past 50, 100 years, it's been stress and going back to the childhood, resolving issues there. But I don't believe that rummaging back into the past all the time and staying there.
No, I do not either.
The new psychological progressive methods that are working much faster is actually focusing on the now and rewiring the brain with certain exercise. And this is what you do. This is what life
you specialize in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming in the mind. That's that's what I do with my life coaching. And it's kind of like it's a mixture. I mix everything. And so even if you buy a tarot reading, I'll mix everything in there as well. If you do a Reiki session, that's when I really will do my soul readings. So for those of you who are coming out of relationships or trying to heal, there's a lot of tools and exercises I would love to offer. And if I can, I could talk about some of the things here that people can do.
I'd love you to talk about some of them.
Yes, absolutely. The first stages, and I just want to give a lot of love out to everyone that's going through heartbreak, because it feels like death. It feels like a literal death. You never know. You feel like you can't take that next breath. And I know how that feels. So number one, be compassionate. I know in our society, a lot of the women are trying to be tough. And I think it's great that we're stepping into our divine power, but be compassionate. It's okay to cry and to be, in that fetal position on the bathroom floor. That's going to happen. But most importantly, the first steps is your network. So the first things you do is, whether you have friends or family, bring in a network to support you. People to be there those nights you want to pick up the phone, go back, do things like that. That is the most important thing. And I think a lot of us feel that we don't want to burden other people with our problems. We don't want to cry again to our friends for the 5th time. I missed him or her. I don't know what to do. That's what your friends are for. So really developing that strong network. And even if you don't have a lot of friends or family, YouTube is a strong network. You can join free 30-day detoxes and support groups. That is vital for your own mental and emotional health. Number one,
sharing.
Absolutely. Don't do it alone. So people try to do it alone and be strong. And I just see patterns repeat themselves with that. Next, a lot of people jump out there and try to date other people and rebound very quickly. And I get that. Like, I'm a Scorpio.
My healing method. Each boyfriend was a rebound boyfriend, so it never felt like.
Yeah, and I get it, especially if you're physical. Like, I'm a Scorpio, Aries, Leo. So it's all this, sexual energy, and you want to be physical. You want to feel safe again. And a lot of us have codependency issues in terms of, if I'm with somebody, I feel loved. I feel worthy. I feel good enough. I see somebody loves me. But those are some deeper issues that need to be explored and worked out. And I would highly suggest, as tempting as it is, not to rebound right away. Because as far as soulmates are concerned, and we have lots of soulmates, a lot of people think we only have a one. That's not the case. At least not in my experience. If that's what you want to believe, totally okay. But you have multiple. So the level that you vibrate at is the same level that you attract. When you're heartbroken and sad, the kind of people that you're going to attract, narcissistic, they're also low vibrating. They also have self-worth issues. So you only can have more of an abusive, more than likely emotionally abusive relationship. So those relationships are not going to last. It might just make you feel worse or try to solidify unhealthy beliefs you have about yourself. And I know it's tempting. And if it happens, it happens. But just FYI, give yourself a nice, month or at least 2 to kind of heal and to be present with those.
That's a great advice. Yes.
It's so true. I'll do it.
Sometimes it takes much longer than a month.
Yeah, it does. But the first, first it's shock and then the anger and the pain. Everyone goes through different cycles. But yeah, I would, number one, not suggest jumping right back.
Well, that's if you've been hurt in the relationship. What if you're in a relationship and then you fall in love with someone else? And someone else that it kind of, but you don't feel vibrationally low. You're in a good spot, but then you really fall in love. I've seen celebrities, like, I think, what's his name? Seinfeld was got engaged or married, and he felt he was happy. Then he met a woman on a plane, and that's it. He felt that was love of his life, and they're still together. So there are other cases. Like, what would you say about that?
My only guidance for that one is to balance out all energies. Just make sure that everything that you do is ethical. How you break up, how you release other relationships are in a compassionate and loving way, because everything you put out comes back. Period. As within, so without. So I know some people that happens, and that's unfortunate. That's the way it happens for the other person, and that's the way it happens. But as the person that's okay and moving on to the next relationship, just make sure you're compassionate, that you release and cut all ties with the person in a kind and ethical way, so nothing backlashes. and move forward. That was just the cards you were dealt. Otherwise, yeah, move forward. And also to make sure it's not coming from an egotistic place. I've had some male clients with this exact same situation. I see it way more in men than I do in women, and it's not a gender call. But sometimes some of them come from a place of, it's more of an ego thing. I need something new. So I feel like the younger, the prettier, the better, because how it makes me feel when I'm with this woman versus this older woman. So in those situations, I would just examine your motivations and making sure it's not coming from that place, because then that's a whole other cycle that doesn't end very well.
But I also seen it with people that they've grown from the last relationship, but usually it's not a bad relationship. It's not the perfect, it's not the ultimate one, but this sense of self-love has grown, and compromise in whatever relation, and then they find someone who is even better matched to them.
Yeah, and that's what happens. And if that's the case, definitely, that's wonderful. As long as everything else is amicably and ethically released, go enjoy life. You know, go enjoy that. That's different. But only in those instances, that's my only advice to those people. Just cut cords and ties healthily and move on. Enjoy it. Yeah.
So we went. Have a network. Friends, join a group, because always the group or the vibration of someone who is feeling better is high. It can lift you up.
Absolutely.
Attach yourself to, just like AA groups and stuff. They vibrate at, they calibrate at higher consciousness, so they raise you up. Not that they do something magical. It's just the vibration of the people around there who's healed or who reach, and then don't rush.
Rush into the face.
If you're hurt.
If you're hurt, I would not suggest it. As tempting as it is, just give yourself some time. And the next two is reassociations. So a lot of people don't want to leave the house. They don't want to go hang out with those friends because they have the same friends. They don't want to go to that restaurant because that was the last time we had a restaurant. I don't want to wear this dress because that's the dress we had on our first date. You need to make reassociations. This is a very healthy step. So if you have, let's say you've been with somebody for a long time and you don't really want to go anywhere because everywhere you go, you think of that person, you can't stay in your house. So it's a step called reassociation. You need to get friends or people and make new memories in the same clothes, in the different places, so that you're able to go back out and have a healthy connection to everything again. I see this a lot. Some people might not be affected by this, but most people I know, they don't want to leave the house when they're heartbroken. They don't want to run into the person. They don't want to see places. They're very emotionally attached to all the areas. I'm not sure if this is the same for a lot of air signs, but I know for most people that are a little bit more emotional, it is the case. So if you can go out there, make memories, just reassociate the places, people, and things so that when you do things again, it's not connected to that ex or to that person. You release them energetically. Okay. And the next would be to realign your energy. So there's a lot of tools, and I love these tools and tips, and I would love to do some webinars on it, but you have to change up your energy. So there's a lot of things you can do. EFT is wonderful. It's called the emotional freedom technique. I find that when people are going, whether you're a trauma victim or you're someone just trying to heal from heartbreak or even just grief, even if someone's passed away and you're grieving, whenever you have a lot of emotions, you release cortisol through the amygdala. It causes you to have adrenaline, high blood pressure, headaches. You just panic attacks. You'll have panic attacks. And so when you're in that state, you don't want to do affirmations. You don't want to go to the gym. You don't want to eat healthy. You don't feel like going out. You feel like curling up and crying and watching, like, I don't know, Friends on TV over and over again. You don't want to do those things. An emotional freedom technique is something that the word's called tapping. And I know some of your clients know this because I've seen it on some of the live feeds I had. But it reroutes the cortisol throughout the body. So whenever you think of that person, that situation, or that experience, you no longer have any anxiety attacks. You actually have no emotional response at all negatively.
I have panic attacks when I'm in planes. For many years I had that. I can't breathe. I think I'm dying. This is what people see me at the start. And it's not when we're flying. Before we start flying, I get the panic attack. And this is what's been helping me. So if it helps with something like that,
exactly. You know, you set your intention, and I could do a whole webinar on it if you want to, just so people could just click on it and know how to do it. Everybody, it's wonderful. So no matter whether you're scared to be on a plane or every time you think of that person, you can't focus at work. You can't focus when you're at family events. This is going to reroute all the cortisol throughout the body. Exactly, Lada, you did it exactly right. And you do it a couple times, you do it a couple cycles, and you'll realize that you can think about that person, traumatic experience, or even think about flying a plane, and your anxiety goes down, the cortisol reroutes, and from that space, we can move on to the other steps. Because if you, it's very difficult for people to do any of the things that allow them to heal and move forward when they're in that space. That's really what keeps people stuck a lot longer, is just the anxiety related to those experiences. They think about them and, you know, they're depressed again, or they're sad again, or they don't want to eat, things like that.
And I'm going to ask you something. I had a relationship 9 years that was, I was trying to get out of it. It wasn't abusive or anything. I was trying to get out of it because it wasn't healthy. I was in love with someone who was not available, basically, you know. And what do you, how do you stop yourself having such feelings? Because even, you know, it lasted for years. It was so hard. I tried all techniques. Is it something karmic? Have you seen this, that sometimes you just have to suffer through that, you know, like those unrequited
love?
Sorry?
You're talking about unrequited love?
Yes, kind of. You want to be with someone, but you can't be. What can you see from the higher perspective about such relationships?
I'm trying to think of some examples I can give.
Yeah, I love it.
A lot of the times when at least in my experience, when you have unrequited love and people are not available, one, it can be a soulmate. And sometimes we can't help ourselves be connected to that person. We've lived, you know, it's usually people in our friend groups, our extended friend groups, and we've known that person. So one, you're tapping into a memory. You're tapping into an emotional memory that's there. One of the things I have done with people is cord cut. That's the next thing. So I'm not sure if anybody's used to cord cutting. And some people get very scared with cord cutting. Like, I don't want to cut good relationships. You cannot. It's like trying to cut light. You can't cut something that vibrates so high. But it does help you cut any residual emotions or attachments. Did you try that during your experience? Did you cord cut at all?
I tried visualizing, but I guess I just kept going back and dreaming of that person. And I kept self-sabotaging myself because it's, yeah, sometimes almost like you want to suffer. I've noticed sometimes you get so used to that pain that you, and that low vibration of suffering and yearning for someone, that you use it as an excuse of why all your life.
No, you'd be surprised. Everyone does that too. That especially happens with first loves. Oh man, people will hold on to those things for like decades, and that'll affect and sabotage future relationships because they have a standard, and it's an illusion, it's an idea. So first things first, I would definitely cut cords, because a lot of when people have that experience, I find it's residual memory. It's residual emotional memory from previous lifetimes or experiences. And then if that you still have that intensity, most of the time that's more of deep work. You'd have to understand the energetic drive behind it. And sometimes I've actually suggested to people to speak with that person. That's not always possible, but I would, because some people just have to get it out and just kind of communicate that. And some people have been surprised that the person feels the same way or they have the same memories. But for the most part, in my experience, it's residual emotion and things that can be overcome with self-work. A lot of that comes with visualizations, past life work. But everyone's a little different. In my experience, it was mostly just residual emotion and memory. Very strong, very strong. And it wasn't only one lifetime. And that's why it's so intense. It's so intense. But again, it depends on the person. But I've seen it before. I'm sorry you went through that.
No, that's what pushed me into astrology, to learn. I'm so grateful because, as you see, we always look through what's happening now, and we try to fix it, but there is a much bigger picture. And exactly those painful relationships never were physically abusive, any of them, but was what helped me discover my own calling. And I'm so grateful, actually, even if those people, you know, I never have negative feelings for them. I've moved on, but I'm super grateful because the suffering pushes you to explore and to learn about yourself and to move to the next level. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, because the 3 kinds of painful relationships I've come across are: 1, when you're trying to accelerate your learning; 2, it's when you're not learning and the universe is trying to push you out; and 3, karmic relationships. And those are pivotal relationships, whether it's unrequited or mutual. They're the relationships that come into your life, and they're usually tumultuous. They tend to be very fast chemistry, very fast physically attractive. Like, it's just, you can't keep your hands off each other at first. And I think the universe plans it that way, so you stick. And then you have all these emotional problems, but it causes you to grow, evolve. All relationships, the purpose of all relationships, painful or otherwise, is growth. It's growth and learning and evolution. And some people are like, why the hell would I experience so much pain? You grow the most through pain. funny enough. And some people have an idea that the soulmate relationship is going to be perfect. We're not going to have arguments. We're not going to fight. And I'm sorry to tell you that that's not the case. I mean, if we're in a dimension of dichotomies where there's light, there's darkness, there's left, there's right, there's up, there's down. If you were going to have that experience, you would have evolved in a much higher being in a different dimension completely. But how would you know joy without pain? And it's all relationships. And even the best, healthiest relationships have their, they hit the ground sometimes, but it's the commitment to keep choosing each other and to keep growing together. So I know some people have that fairy tale, and it's ideal, but it's not how it goes.
Yeah, even in astrology, you can very quickly see with very easy techniques if a relationship is karmic. And usually those are the most passionate, exactly like the most intense. But every month or two, some big drama happens there. It's consistent. You see it astrologically very easy. And I know from my teacher and from working for 13, 14 years with that, these are not the ultimate relationships. They're the ones that prepare us for the ultimate. And the ultimate one tends to be much more calmer. If we had it while we were younger, we would not appreciate it. We'd go, this is boring and much calmer, and you agree on everything. But you have to go through that turbulence to smooth the edges and then really appreciate the peace and see the beautiful, because we're drawn to drama. When we're low vibration, we prefer relationships that are also, we don't feel excited. We don't feel, when we have our own issues that make us vibrate low, like you said, a healthy, happy relationship is not going to, we're not going to recognize it.
Nope, you won't, nor will you attract it, And you are so right. I completely agree with you, Lada. They're definitely very passionate. They usually move very fastly, but they're pivotal to your growth. And you're right. If you would have had, people say, well, why would I choose that? It's shaping you to be a higher vibration, a better version of yourself. People have this like, I want this amazing partner who does this, this, and that. If you had this amazing partner come in, but you had self-esteem issues, low self-worth issues, would you even be able to accept them in your life? And if they did come in, would you push them away through jealousy, possessiveness, indifference, because you're still suffering from ideas of worth? These karmic relationships force you to step up, set healthy boundaries, choose yourself, say no, release, let go. They shape you so that you can vibrate high. And it's really about self-love and realizing what you want and you don't want, so that when that right person comes in, you'll recognize it and you'll be ready for it and not sabotage it. Sabotage happens all the time as a result of these these issues we carry either from childhood, or we created it through heartbreak. There's a myriad of it. You are absolutely right. I agree with you 110%. And I'm glad you mentioned the vibration, because that's the next thing. After kind of just balancing out all the cortisol, I love laughter techniques, and it's great. I think when you laugh, you raise your vibration immediately. You heal immediately. There is this amazing healing of this man. He had like stage 4 cancer. He had like 3 months to live. So all he did was watch like Three Stooges for like 3 weeks by himself and just laugh, and he completely regressed. Laughter is so healing and so powerful. So I definitely ask people to get out there, remember who you are, your spirit. And this is a very short webinar, so it's going to seem kind of general. But I put on I Love Lucy. I don't know what anybody else does, but just to raise your vibration up, to keep it higher as often as you can, whatever tools you have to use. And service. Go out there, help a friend, do something else, because when we're heartbroken, we're very egocentric. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I've noticed heartbroken people are not humble, and actually they're not nice to their No. They become more selfish. It's all about me. Mm-hmm. Everything, all the world should feel my pain.
It's very micro, and it's very micro, and people, they want
narrow.
Yes, it's very, and this is why I like doing soul readings, because I want them to see the bigger picture. Because if you see the bigger picture of why this played out, you will heal so much faster. And if you do some extra tools and tips and extras I have, you will move on to the next one so much quicker instead of repeating the cycle. And some people, they hold on, and this is a great point that I want to let people know. I know you're holding on, people out there that are heartbroken, but I love him or her, and I know they're the one. Number one, if someone is meant to be your one, soul contract, whatever, they will be. What is yours by divine right cannot be taken away, period. Okay, so don't stress about that. But number two, if you want the right one to come in, the universe works in a vacuum. So if you're holding on to somebody, especially energetically, that person cannot come in And some people, I call this the monkey swing. This is my own terminology, but some people like to hold on to unhealthy relationships, so they start dating people that they know are not good for them, but they're not going to let go until somebody else comes along and they can grab onto this person and then they'll let them go and then they'll move to the next. And that's what they do.
Many women. I know. In my friends are like that, monkeys swinging from a branch.
Yeah, the next guy, and I'm not gonna go until I catch the next one, until the next one. That's a cycle of codependency. That's and low self-worth because they feel validated by the men or the women in their lives that they have purpose and meaning and worth. But I want them to know that if you're holding on to this vibration, the next vibration is going to be the same, and it's very, very scary to feel alone. And I understand that. I've understand on a personal level and on a professional level. People can go from, happy to suicidal very quickly. And these are rarely real topics. I work with trauma victims all the time. And I understand that, and I don't belittle it in any way. But if they were looking to heal and to really invite that loving vibration in, again, you have to release that low vibration and what doesn't serve you. And I know maybe you're holding on because you're scared. But even if you give your universe just a moment to bring something in. So a lot of people, I tell them, give yourself a week. Do like a week challenge. I'm gonna let go of that healthy relationship. And if after a week I can't take it, fine, then I'll jump back in and do my old habits. But when you let go, you signal the universe like, hey, this is not what I want anymore. I'm opening for this. The universe, whatever you believe in, vibration, frequency, it vibrates. So if you release something low and you raise it up, it'll just bring you things that vibrate at that rate. Period. That's just physics. That's just quantum physics. So I ask people, just experiment. You don't have to take my word for it. No one has to. Just try some of these things out and see what happens. Some people have some amazing experiences when they're just brave for a week. Don't think of 2 months from now, 1 month from now. That's too much when you're heartbroken.
What if it's 1 week, but you're constantly missing the other person and thinking of them? You're still not making space.
Yeah, there's a lot of other tools. There's journaling, there's energy healing, there's counseling, there's cord cutting, EFT, like we talked about. There's grounding work. There's so many different exercises, and depending on the people, I'll give you a different exercise or a different tool, and I'll do it with them to teach them, and then they could take it home. And I love hearing back from my clients, getting what worked, what didn't work, depending on them and their journey.
I know one method that worked to so many people, and it helped me as well.
Ooh, what's it?
Take it's shamanic method. It's from shamans in Africa, I think. And you take a black stone, which is onyx or black obsidian, exactly, and you put it for a woman. This is for a woman. When your period is coming, you put it underneath your padding, because black stone absorbs the negative energy, especially since you've had sexual contact. Your energies are enmeshed, so it sucks out that kind of obsessive energy from you and cleanses you. And I would even advise it for everyone that is getting married, to starting a new relationship, to do it to cleanse from old connections, because they might be lingering there. And after that, throw that stone or bury it somewhere. You can do it 2-3 times in a row. If you don't have a period anymore, you can do it when the moon is growing, becoming smaller, because then this is when the body throws out
energy. Yeah. You said you put it in your underwear? Is that where you said you put it? Like in your panties? Is that what you said?
Underneath your padding line.
Oh, that's a wonderful. I gotta try that out. See how that works. That's amazing. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that when I did it, the day I buried it, after that I cried for 2 days. I thought I'm like, why I'm not healing? It's worse. I want, I miss that person even more. But it was like a healing crisis, and then I was released.
No, that's another amazing point, because the physical body is a reflection of the energetic body. So people don't realize that when you energetically cleanse, your physical body also cleanses itself. That's why some people get a massage, they hurt more the next day, because you're physically. Yeah. So you released energetically, and now the physical body is releasing. So you're crying and you're releasing in a very physical way. So people have different symptoms. A very common symptom is flu. Flu is a very common symptom when you energetically release. So yeah, a lot of people think I'm getting worse. Like I had nothing but dreams about him last night. I'm like, your subconscious is bringing this person out. It's bringing everything up to come out. So you're right, it might look like you're not doing good, but you're actually just detoxing.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. It happens all the time. I actually just had a client the other day that was like, I had the worst flu after doing the exercise, but I felt so much better after the flu. I'm like, very common.
Yeah. Temperature, burning, high temperature. Even doctors nowadays say, don't bring the temperature down. It's burning the bacteria and the bad stuff from you.
Yes. And I think the reason too is flu too. It's the heart, it's the lung, it's the thyroid area. I think depending on where you're releasing in the body, because we hold energy in different areas. Some people think it's always the heart, but it's actually not. A lot of women hold it in the lower back or the stomach, depending on where, or even in the mind if you're constantly thinking. So your symptoms are different depending on where you place this person's energy in your body. But I like the idea of the onyx, and because you're correct, when you sleep with somebody, and I tell this, and that's okay, I'm totally liberal person, I don't judge anybody's lifestyles, but it's true, when you do sleep with somebody, you take on energy. Not just, not just their physical DNA, which is also proven, you keep a little bit of their DNA, but their energy as well. You're linked, you're corded. So that's a wonderful exercise.
I've seen people, they tell me stories that they've slept with someone and they develop the addiction of the other person. Because actually the entities, or if you don't believe in entities, like powerful energetic field around someone, and if you take part of that energetic happens through sex, you can even attract their negative problems in your life. And
yes.
Careful.
This happens a lot. I'm so happy you mentioned that too. This happens a lot. People be in relationships, and I'm a physical empath, so I take on the physical ailments. If someone has, my ex had carpal tunnel and back pain, my hands would curl in when I'd sleep. I get the same symptoms as him. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I'm a very strong physical empath, so I'm not saying that's going to happen to everybody, so don't get scared. But you're right. You'll take on their other energetic patterns and issues. You never had problems with work before, but you might have a partner who's consistently learning or growing in career areas, and you realize that the energy will start to affect your own area, and that happens. So this is another reason why don't jump into your cleanse. Don't jump into you do a lot of the self-healing work, because you're just attracting more low vibration, and that's not going to serve you, honeys. That's not going to, it's what happens, and it's not going to serve you. But if someone steps in who's amazing, hey, we have different kinds of soulmates. Some soulmates, I had this one who, he was amazing. He wasn't long-term, but he helped me on my healing, because he was just a person who, he taught me how I deserve to be loved. I've had a long journey and experience with relationships. And so some people, I call them angels, very seriously sent to help us. So if someone does come in who is a great vibration, is really their loving female or male, those are different. I'm talking about the karmic, sexually charged, chemistry, jump in one night stand, kind of rebound people. That's the ones I'm talking about.
And the funny thing is that women suffer more from those, because women are the receptive. If you have a feminine body, female body, I don't care if you're a homosexual, no, and you receive. The moon rules you. You're a receptor. You're a vessel. And women soak up the energies of men much more, while men basically get charged up by the sexuality of women. So a man can sleep with a lot of women and he gets more and more successful, while a woman sleeping with other men, this is esoteric. I know you Puritan. I'm not puritanical, but this is kind of esoteric knowledge that the more you give away from energy to someone, to different men, or even if it's one man who is not giving back to you, you're losing your energy and you're charging that man. And according to, again, esoteric sources, a man without a sexual relationship or without a woman loving him can last for about 3 years. After that, even his business and success in life starts going down unless he finds another woman to stuck in. So we're like the batteries for men, according to esoteric observations. I know it sounds very ancient and weird.
No, I agree with you too. And then someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe too, when women orgasm, we release a hormone that causes us to attach for the purpose of procreation. It's a primal release. Men don't have that attachment. We do release it when we orgasm. So there's a reason we feel, we might look crazy to men, but it's because we are emotionally latching. We don't need to procreate the way we might have had to do thousands of years ago, but we still have that same hormone that releases. So it causes us to just want. That might be why some women are like, I'm not that attracted to that man. And then they sleep with them, and all of a sudden, they love them. They want more of them. That's why you have to be quite picky with that. I love women. I love to empower. And again, I don't want to exclude my men at all, but a lot of my work is to empower women, to help them grow, to heal, to step into their divine purpose, and to really help. I think the divine feminine is really coming up and rising, but there's also areas within ourselves that we have to heal so that we come from that powerful feminine, not that broken masculine power over energy. There's a beautiful aspect to the masculine, but there's a far more powerful and beautiful aspect of the feminine that really needs to be brought in through us as healed and open vessels. And I love that work.
And what many women are doing wrong, they're saying, well, it's time for women to be empowered, and they go and do it through masculine ways.
Exactly.
They go and compete and fight, and they think this is empowerment. This is bringing in more masculine qualities to you. And then you wonder why your relationship are not going well, because you charge yourself up masculinely.
Exactly.
Why are you going to attract a man then? Plus and plus doesn't work. It doesn't mean stay at home and gold dig. It's not at all that. But it's kind of the real feminine power is about honoring, loving, kind of the gentle qualities, receptive.
And I know this is sometimes, and a lot of the women I work with, I think, because you're an independent, powerful entrepreneur. We women, we have to, work. And so a lot of the women I work with, they're like, no, they feel very vulnerable when they're with a man. Like, no, I can do this. I don't need help. Let me do this. Don't. And I completely understand why they're that way, because we've had to survive in a masculine dominated world. But you're correct, because if you understand the masculine and feminine, yin and yang, that's not what's going to attract or keep the masculine energy with you. They're like, well, how can I be, entrepreneur and hold my husband? You can do both, but understanding the play of energy. Feminine is not weak at all. Look at Kali. Look at all these amazing, powerful, feminine, divine energies. There's a lot of power in it. And I think people just have a misconception of the feminine. It's not all pink and roses and deferring to the male. Not at all. It's about being receptive and going with the flow and being powerful in your wisdom and in your knowing and in your inner strength. We're creative.
And the power of feminine energy is a no energy. Yep. The masculine energy is a yes energy. So feminine power is about knowing to put boundaries.
Boundaries.
Well. And also I've seen the one woman that has the most success in life that I know with men in relationship, every man that she's with, they never forget her. They still want to marry her 30 years later. They're ready to drop everyone and everything for her after that. She gave me so many lessons. She said, like, I can do this alone. But then a man bonds to a woman by giving, because the masculine energy is positive. Like the sun needs to give. The moon receives the light. It doesn't mean give 100%, 51%, just 1% above than what the woman gives.
Yeah.
The more it is, it's
yeah, you're right. They need to be needed. They need to have a service.
Yeah, to give. Yeah. And she said, like, I can fix the toilet. It broke, but I said to my husband, honey, can you fix it? And so he feels useful.
Yep,
so
exactly.
You, and a man bonds by giving more, while a woman bonds more by receiving. And many women do the opposite. They try to do everything for their husband. They try to, they'll take the role of, you can be the breadwinner, but allow your husband to do some of his masculine duties, like to protect you, to take care of you, to make him feel needed.
Because it makes them feel,
open doors for you, even such small things. Yes. Give him, if he doesn't have money, give him the wallet to pay, so he feels he's the one that is. Such small gestures, because one person,
and you know what, and a lot of, I battled with this too, and a lot of women do, because they're like, but I can do it. It's that they feel they need to prove themselves. And I get it, women, you can be powerful, and he knows it. He knows you can do it without him. It's the way the masculine works, and it's understanding that. But that's something women, we need to work on in ourselves, understanding that we don't need to prove it. We know it. We know, and I think we have this angst with the masculine. Like, we're finally coming up and we want to roar, We're here right now. We're going to balance this back out. You should interview your friend. That'd be a wonderful webinar.
No, she's too sensitive. She's too private. But but that was a great lesson. And also, man, I've noticed also, a woman can be very successful, but if she's not making her man feel masculine and respect, if she's not respectful to him, because maybe she's more successful, or whatever, she puts him down, or she in some way bosses him around and doesn't show him like she needs him and allow him to do things for her. Or some women have problem receiving from their men. I have a friend that her husband is very successful. She never wants to take any money from him. She's like, she has to have her own business, and he doesn't bond to her. He goes and sleeps with other women, and he'll go to sleep with other women that are way less attractive, way less successful, because he feels they need him. And he feels manly, and he feels like he is the. I'm not saying he's right, but you have to learn as women to receive, not to be greedy and grasping. There is a fine line, but to receive a little bit more, to let men do a little bit more for you, because that's how they'll bond. That's how they'll feel in love. Sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. Those are good points, and I want to speak to all my feminists. I'm a feminist. I love women empowerment, like I said. So before I lose any of those feminists and they're turning off this video, I want you to understand, and I am too, I'm very strong boundaries. I love you know that I can do this. They know I can do these things. And I just want them to perhaps explore more the male and the feminine and masculine dichotomy. So you have a little bit of understanding of what Lada is talking about. It's not about being subservient. It's not about playing to their needs, because years before I'd be like, they need to evolve. Like, I should be able to be myself, and they need to be with a strong woman. Again, the feminine strength it's not like the masculine. It's not a power over in your face. And that's what we're doing. And now we have two masculines in the house, and we emasculate the man. We can be a powerful feminine, which in a lot of ways, I think the masculine energy kind of defers to. You know, they love their powerful queen energy, you know, so stand in that and, oh man, they'll,
absolutely.
Right.
When you're angry with a man, instead of going and shouting in his face, go and kiss him and be like, even if you're seething inside, go. I've done this in experiment. It's amazing. And he immediately melts and does what you want. So again, you control him and command him, but you do it in a feminine, softer way. You know,
that's hilarious. You said that you did an experiment because, I mean, as a Scorpio Aries, the one thing I want to do is want to punch you right in the face.
I know, I'm Aries too, so. But it's kind of, it feels manipulative, but it's not, because you approach with kindness and then you feel like, oh, I'm so nice, I'm so good.
Yeah, so I actually did the same experiment. Like the last thing I wanted to do was touch his shoulder, and I just, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna. I find that the things that you resist doing are the very things that you need to do. Even in when you're healing from a broken relationship, you don't want to go to the gym, but you should, because it gives you endorphins. You don't want to go out, you want to curl in, but you should, because it raises your vibration and you meet new people. You know, you don't want to, I don't know, get out there and mingle with other people or go for that opportunity because you don't have the energy. That's what you should do, because it's going to bring you a different awareness and different opportunities and networks and people. The very things you don't want to do are usually the things you do. And I think that's a great experiment, because usually what you don't want to do is what you have to learn to do, which is, you know, be compassionate. Oh my God, temper that, you know, get the anger down. That's mine, you know, being able to just let things go. In relationships, you're gonna have to learn to let things go. That's a whole other topic on a different webinar, but you're correct. That's a great experiment, and I highly suggest everyone else to do that. And I'm not saying, again, abusive relationships aside, but when you're arguing, perhaps try a different tactic. I mean, Einstein said doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. You have to change up the vibration. You have to change up the habits and the energy.
Help your client, someone who comes to you and they're not sure, are they in a relationship that they're meant to keep or not? Because sometimes the line is very fine.
Yeah.
Do you help people find out whether their relationships are worth staying in and they have to stay in because of something more to do?
Yes.
Or these are just very unhealthy attachments, even if they're in their head, they're playing them up as healthy ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. There are a lot of relationships that actually, we plan things out before incarnate. And so we have multiple opportunities and we have free will. So there are people that are in relationships where you're at a point like, should I stay or should I go? And actually there's still so much more growth. And should you stay and keep working at it, there's an opportunity for something long-term. And there's no punishment if you decide to leave it, but I will let you know what lies ahead as a result. If there's going to be another relationship.
You can help them from a higher perspective, the karma and the,
Oh, most of my work is channeling. So I know I do tarot readings. I probably should have done this at the beginning of the video. But even though I use tarot, most of my work is channel. So I'll hear, you know, whether you believe in angel spirit guides, you know, that doesn't matter. But I will get what's coming, you know, what they want to say, your guides or divine beings. And everyone has ascended masters or certain high vibrating beings that are with you as you incarnate. So I do pick up on the whole soul, I guess, layout, you know, I just call it soul reading. I just named it soul readings. I just termed it. And I'll let you know what purpose this might serve, should they want to. That's their free will. Some people are like, I need a break from this lesson. That's okay. Take a break. Whether you go back with that person, don't worry. The universe is back and they're going to bring in someone else to continue on that lesson.
But they'll bring the person back whether you want.
Yeah, either that person or a different one, depending. You know, you have multiple. It was created that way. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are on a cusp, and it doesn't mean the relationship's bad or over. There's a lot just to learn, and depending on how much you do the self-work will depend on whether that relationship's going to move forward and expand or end itself, and you'll have a different partner to grow with for a different reason, to a different level. It all depends. There's so much depending on the person and where they're at.
Exactly, that's what your specialty is, because every person has a different issue.
Yep.
So you tap into them and you see what specifically they have to work in. Some just do the same mistake over and over.
And over again. And because they're coming from that micro perspective again, they think, oh, well, maybe this time it'll be different, but I'm going to do the same things. No, your soul lesson, I'll give an example. Your soul lesson with this person is to work on your self-esteem, perhaps because I can see that your father was very critical of you growing up, you know, critical of your mother. And so you had a lot of issues, and you value what men think of you. You value what they have to say of you. This stems very far back. So this person could be kind of critical with you, but until you do the self-work, you're going to keep attracting. Like, well, maybe if I just, you know, he's just trying to be helpful. He's just trying to help me. No, you're still going to get these critical people. You need to love yourself. You need to have enough self-worth and know, you know, a better self-image of yourself so you don't keep attracting it. So it just depends. Again, there's so much that goes into it. But yeah, I can see the lesson behind it. Or sometimes you're with this person because actually while you both are serving them, you're helping this person out. Or this person's going to help you grow in your career. This person's going to help you release. Oh, you'd be surprised how many guys or women come in to help you actually release. Like for instance, your 9-year unrequited love. Some people come in to finally help you let that person go so that you can move forward. That happens a lot too. So, I mean, it just depends. There's a myriad of reasons why people come in. And yeah, I will tap into that and I'll let you know so that you can you have the tools necessary to get that lesson going instead of spending 2 more years doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I have a funny example. Like in my life, I kept attracting Virgo boyfriends after another. Virgo ascendant Virgo. And I'm like, all those Virgos? Why is that? And in retrospect, now I realize because I was totally non-discriminative. Virgo teach you to discriminate. I was totally chaotic. They were all like kind of OCD. I was messy. I had no structure, no organization, no order in my life. And I would attract those really OCD guys. And I learned that the moment I learned it and I stopped being that messy and I started becoming more discriminative rather than lost and anything goes.
Exactly. You know, I had an ex who was very objective. He was non-judgmental. He didn't like taking sides, always playing the devil's advocate because I was very black and white. This is good. This is bad. This is right. This is wrong. But being with him it was like a boot camp. Being with him was it feels like a boot camp. It's like you can't do it long term, but it really accelerates your learning. But it taught me to be objective and compassionate and understanding and accepting other people's viewpoints without having to judge it. Like, I'm still me and you're still you. Some people feel the need to constantly like, no, you're wrong. He helped me with that. It was a hard lesson, but it worked. You're right. And that's why in the moment you recognize what it is and you do it, the pattern stops.
Exactly.
It's wonderful.
I had a client who had 3 in a row boyfriends that she found over internet that took all her life savings. She was in her late 50s. And I was like, you're doing the same thing again. And she said, and she was always certain that they were in love with her. And then then she came to me a year later. I have another guy. This guy is for real. It's over the internet. He has some money because he has to release some money from his bank. But even if he's fake like the others, now I'm going to teach him a lesson. She's just not getting it. Like, now outplay the player. I say, why do
Bro, it's micro.
No, I will break him down. I will make him fall in love with me. Even if he's a scammer. And like, this is masochistic, you know. And
why would you want
to help such people?
People, and I get a lot of people don't want the work. They want to go to a reader or a healer to make it better. But there's no way around it. Some people want it just a quick fix and it doesn't work. Doesn't matter if you have the best healer or the best reader, you still have to do the work. You still have to question yourself, explore the subconscious issues and patterns that you have. And it's great, especially if you're going through trauma. Anybody out there that's going through relationship trauma, don't do it alone. There's free counselors if you can't afford it, but definitely get a healer, get a life coach, get a psychologist, anybody to help you because trauma really does, it cracks the psyche a little bit, you know, and you need to heal that. And it's great to be with a professional who can help guide you through that. So please know your worth. No, you're worth it. Everyone's worth it. And definitely invest in that. And if you can't, there's a lot of free resources out there.
Can you tell me, just for the last question,
a
few methods to improve self-worth?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of self-worth.
On the moment anyone can do.
Yes, yes. As far as self-worth, that's like a subconscious patterning. So awareness is 60% of the work. Once you get awareness, that's it. So anytime, first, it's the constant chatter. So let's say you're driving in the car, and this might seem simple enough, but believe me, when you have to catch those thoughts all the time, if you're in the car and you notice you're berating yourself, you're like, I'm stupid, why did I say that? I'm not this. You need to stop those thoughts immediately. I really believe in a mantra or affirmation, and this might seem tedious and it might seem too simple, but I promise you, it's because that, belief is only a thought that you keep thinking. You need to stop the belief. So whether you have an affirmation like, I am worthy and I am beautiful and I deserve love. I don't care what you have to create yourself or say to yourself. I love Louise Hay affirmations. Anybody out there who loves Louise Hay, look her up. But in those moments, to stop the cycle of thinking, have an affirmation, and every time that comes up, build that awareness so that you can break it. Second of all, like I said again, EFT. You can do EFT in the car. You need, when people have trauma or they're really heartbroken, they have very depressive cycles. So you need to stop that in the moment. You need to stop.
I feel they'll never be happy in relationship. I felt like that. Yes. I felt like I'm doomed. I looked at my horoscope and said, that's it. it will never happen. It's never gonna work, you know.
And it's very, and when you get into that spin cycle, it's very difficult to get out. It takes hours and sometimes days, depending on the people. And it kicks off out of anxiety. It kicks off with anxiety, depression. So EFT is a wonderful technique. I strongly suggest everybody to do it. You could do that in the car, in the bathroom, in the shower. You can do it at work. Stop the cycle, because that's what fuels fear. It's fear is what fuels it, and fear is fueled with cortisol. So let's stop that so we can come from an objective or just like a safe, balanced place. And I know a lot of people, you don't have to be religious, and this might seem religious to some people, but it's not. I'm a big believer in praying and surrendering. So you don't have to believe in a God. You can believe in your higher self, talk to your higher self, but surrender and prayer is so powerful. There is so many, I mean, as a healer and as a reader, I know there's a lot of angels and spirit guides and a lot of divine beings that are with us all the time. But we have
them. You felt it.
And during readings, I'll let you know what's help. Yeah, all the time. But we have free will, and people think, well, they're not helping me. You have to understand that they cannot do anything without your permission. It's a very simple thing, and people don't realize it. But you have to say, angels, God, spirit, Yahweh, whatever you call it, I give you permission. Help me. Step in and intervene in my life. Because before those words even leave your mouth, they are there. I've seen it so many times, but people don't realize that you have to say that. And some people will surrender, and then the next minute they're trying to control their life again. You have to give the permission back again. Surrender consistently, because we have so much help on the other side that we don't utilize. There's more angels than there are souls incarnated. You're not bothering anybody. You're not hurting anybody. Ask them.
They're waiting. They're like,
they're waiting all the time. There's so many angels per person, and when you're going through trauma, more angels gather. So I know people that are going through cancer or any kind of huge illnesses, I call it an angel posse. They double. There more angels will be there than the time I came beforehand. You have a lot of help and a lot of love, and you're never, ever alone. Even if you can't sense them, you could always develop that sensitivity, but they're always there. But constantly surrender, constantly ask.
I'm glad you said that, because just doing it once and then going back into trying to control the circumstances and trying to fix it
right back,
make it work. No, you have to keep reminding, saying, this is so humbling, by the way, that seeing that you can't really deal with the problem yourself from this level of consciousness you have, and you ask for help, higher consciousness, and you have to keep going back to this humbling state. And this is very, you become very conscious as well, that you're doing something, that you're in a wrong pattern. And if you can't fix it, of course, when you're in a wrong pattern, you don't know how to fix it.
Exactly. And I've heard story after story after story of, oh my God, Angelic, I did that. And then all of a sudden I met this person who's offering free life coaching sessions, or, they called and they apologized and we healed things. Or it happens so fast. Like, if people just give this an opportunity, I've heard so many miraculous synchronicities, or I saw angel signs everywhere. I see feathers all over the floor. They're letting you know they're with you, or they're guiding you. They'll bring people, places, and events, synchronicities in your life, especially your spirit guides. They'll line that right up. Say, spirit guides, give me a sign, and they'll give you multiple signs. Yeah. Surrender it. That is the best in the beginning, only because you're working from, you're right, a limited consciousness. And then once you can heal a little bit more and step out, then we can use more tools on your own, but really surrender. I've seen so many more miracles come out of that than anything.
Wow. And on that positive ending, thank you so much, Angelic. If someone wants to have a reading with Angelic, you see she's so knowledgeable. It's amazing. I love talking to you. You're Venus incarnate. Wounded Venus that is healed and incarnate. Angelic is offering just February 2018, $40 for a Karmic love reading.
Yeah, 20-minute reading. Yeah, just for February.
Yes, and she has a lot of different services. Reiki, again, healing broken heart, Reiki through distance. Can this help?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So people are like, you have to be in person. No, I don't have to be in person. I can read for you anywhere in the world.
You're amazing, guy. I'd love to speak with you more. Maybe we can start doing one-day webinars for.
I would love that.
And live ones, because I've been to such things, they change you. And one of those was we were naked for 4 hours. Women, 7, 8.
I've done that under the full moon.
Yes, so it was one of the most healing things. Right after that, I met my husband. I knew this ritual did something. So one day we'll develop those things, because I feel you there. I see also astrologically that things are shifting, and my direction is going towards relationships as well. So
wonderful.
I love connecting with you and seeing that.
Astrolada. Thank you so much. I love this. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelic. Wonderful to have you on astrolada.com on the team.
It's an honor.
You know that we're working with such a enlightened and beautiful soul like you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lada. Thank you so much. I've been following you for years, and I'm just so excited to even have this conversation with you.
Oh, you're prepared since years.
Well, thank you, guys. And if anybody has questions, please feel free to leave comments below, or you can even email me, and I can let you know if my services will help you out.
Wonderful. Can't wait to have you back again for another post chat.
Thank you. I hope it served everybody.
Bye.